Hi, what's up beautiful ladies and gentlemen? My name is Diaz and today we are in Seoul, Yongsan. See the background? So many amazing and beautiful places to live, right? So, in the previous episode I was talking about how foreigners, students, residents, non-residents can buy houses and properties in Korea. And today I will let you know what kind of visa types do you have to have in order to invest, what kind of property and amounts you have to put in Korea, and like if you want to rent out your houses, what kind of profits and what kind of procedures do you have to have in order to keep everything around. So stay tuned, let's go. Okay guys, so let's start. If you want to get a property or like a residence in Korea, let me start with the type of the visas. So first one is D8. Remember D8. This is investment visa which could be acquired or obtained if you invest at least 100,000 won, which is roughly 86,000 USD. And then another one which will assure you the permanent residency in Korea is if you invest up to 500,000 USD or more than that. So if you invest that kind of amount and if you could be able to, you can easily get permanent residency in Korea. You can either invest or you can just buy the property more than that kind of amount. So another one, I don't know if you remember, but I also mentioned and I talked about the point system. So there is a point system from KIIP, which also gives you a chance to get a permanent residency. Maybe some people are thinking like, should I buy the property in order to get the residency? Well, you can buy the property and then you can just get the point systems, right? So, and after, well, let's go back to the actual property and real estate in Korea. So upon conclusion of all those acts, there is also one thing. If you don't want to live in the house, right, you can rent it out. But before renting out the whole property or the apartment, there are also some kind of regulation according to Korean law. Well, however, the remittance system, for instance, if foreigners want to enjoy the property, the rental income from the property, right, they have to go either two ways. The first one is to open a stock company, which is 주식 회사 in Korean, which is same to US standards, the same as an ordinary stock company in the US. So, for instance, people can open the company and then get the remittance or the rental income from the company. So in order to do that, people or foreigners or a person has to get at least 50,000 Korean won, which is roughly 45,000 USD, and then invest in the company. And then the second one is going to be the limited liability company, Yuhan Hesa, and then it also will be, it allows you to pay the taxes before the remittance. The minimum capital invested in the limited liability company, which is going to be roughly around 10 million Korean won, which is 9,000-ish USD. And then if you have the amount, you can just easily open a limited liability company. You can only have around 50 partners in the limited liability company. That is also one of the options according to the Korean law. So non-residents can actually open Korean won bank accounts for limited purposes. So for instance, withdrawal and then depositing the money back acquired from the Korean land or in Korea. And then, however, they don't have any limitations regarding having the foreign exchange or foreign currencies in their banks, so they can have unlimited amount in their Korean bank accounts in Korea. But if it is based or if it's connected to the real estate, it will have a kind of like a pillow case where people can have only limited options, such as withdrawing and depositing the money. And then there is also a very interesting, the very important thing is the real property registry. So after acquiring the property, you have to inform the authorities, right, within 60 days. But in this case, you should thoroughly check the registry, because sometimes it doesn't show who is the third party or who is the actual owner. And then once you bought the house, it could also state the previous owner. So you should be very careful and very with that thing, because once you check, should be a help. But if you know Korean, is fine. But if you don't know Korean, it's better to use the consulting services that real estate agents offer. Of course, they have their own commission, but it's not like just like, to be sure. I think it will be better to use the consulting service, the real estate agents, if you don't speak any Korean. Okay, so the real property registry has some inherent limitations. For instance, it doesn't show whether there was a break in the chain of the titles, in the forgery of the owner's seal, or unlawful sale by the third party. So, for instance, it's like if you live in a house and then if you don't have the registration, so the occupier might be lose the ownership because he didn't authorize or check correctly the real property registry. So it's very important to check once you acquire or obtain or buy the house. Of course, there are some kind of regulations and registrations how to adverse the possession. So the first one, if the occupier is going to live or possess the property like for 10 years, which is also could be very like as a goal, it will show you the whole history of your statements. For instance, if you say that you want to live there for 10 years, it will actually help because you will show the history and then all those submission documents that you're planning to stay there. The second one is that if you're actually planning to possess and own the house, and then there is another thing which is up to 20 years. So you can also sign up the registry of real property registry for 20 years, and then it should be also stated and shown the history. For instance, that you're planning to live here for 20 years. Well, in the first case, it was 10 years, and then now it's 20 years. So, and then in case of a corporation, so if it's a local corporation, it should be also lodged in the jurisdiction or in the authorities. So all the required documents, you can get them from the KOTRA website. So KOTRA is the Korea Investment and Trade Association, an agency. In case of the local corporation, or if it's a foreign direct investment FDI, appropriate authorities should be notified, and then the whole procedures could be done at the local banks or the branches of the foreign bank or KOTRA, including its overseas domestic branches. So, for instance, if you want to do the FDI from the different countries, from your own country or from maybe overseas different countries, you can also contact KOTRA and do the foreign direct investment. You can check it from there, and then they'll have all of the necessary documents. Well, and once you complete the real registry property, so either from the FDI or from the acquiring the property, all of the foreigners have to go and get the foreign registration number for their real estate in immigration office at Mokdong branch in Seoul, and then collecting and gathering all the documents and just going there will be like a must thing. So don't forget about that. Well, basically, to recap all of the things I told you today, so that's the basic things how to get property in Korea. So first one, either through the visas, and then another one is just opening a stock company or a limited liability company, or making a foreign direct investment, which is also would be very supportive for the not only your side but also Korean side. And then that's different ways of how to acquire and buy the properties in South Korea. So I hope I was helpful, and then if you have any questions, you can or comments, you can leave below, or you can also leave a request at OhMyRoom.com, and then we can answer you. And then if you want to proceed with some property purchases, or if you want the house, we can also help you with that. The most important thing, if you want this kind of content, if you want to know more about housing in Korea and then acquiring properties, rental in Korea, live in Korea, subscribe to this channel, and then we'll give you and show you more content. See you. Well, let's start. Well, 다시 할게요.